Hi everybody, happy Sunday. Welcome again to another weekend of Sankofa Poetry Readings. Today I'm going to read my own original poem called Angry Ants, and I'm also going to remind everyone of a holiday coming up called Election Day and some of its origins and why it's so important to vote as people of color and especially as Black Americans. So here's Angry Ants. I wonder if the birds or stars can see us below as they watch these tiny creations spread like flies on a rotten piece of fruit. We stumble over each other, making messes in our little bodies. We curse and make demands as if we really have authority, creating these sandcastles to inhabit, but inevitably they will be washed away. I wonder if the ants or ancestors can see us below. Stomping in our make-believe worlds, thinking we have to choose these moments, making what we want real while stepping over reality. So that was Angry Ants. I was able to have like a Sunday by myself to kind of zone out a little bit and write my poetry. And it was very like therapeutic, and I was able to sit and really reflect on like reality and like what is really important. So I hope that you enjoyed that, and feel free to comment about it, what you got from it. So this is really important. I want to show you my calendar. There's a little something I want to show you that's coming up on Tuesday. And in the United States, it is called Election Day. Let me pause there so you can see what that is. So, Election Day is coming up November the 2nd, Tuesday, 2021. And I felt like, it's Halloween, but what is really important here is that we don't forget about specifically Black Americans and the vote. So I want to read you a little something. Feel free to grab you a snack and just chill for a second, because we're going to learn something today. So, the struggle over voting rights in the United States dates all the way back to the founding of the nation. The original U.S. Constitution did not define voting rights for citizens, and until 1870, only white men were allowed to vote. 2 constitutional amendments changed that. The 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870, extended voting rights to men of all races. However, this amendment was not enough because Black Americans were still denied the right to vote by state constitutions and laws. Poll taxes, literacy tests, the grandfather clause, and outright intimidation. The 24th Amendment, ratified in 1964, partly addressed this injustice by prohibiting the use of poll taxes in federal elections. In addition to these constitutional amendments, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 secured voting rights for adult citizens of all races and genders in the form of federal laws that enforced the amendments. And maybe I'll include a video so you can kind of see some footage of what was going on during that time, so you can set the scene. The Voting Rights Act of 1965. Like the 15th Amendment, the 24th Amendment, and the Voting Rights Act emerged from these historical contexts. In this case, the Civil Rights Movement and voting rights initiatives of the 1960s. The push for voting rights was led by the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, and by activists Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, who just passed away, Diane Nash, Ella Baker, Bob Moses, Stokely Carmichael, and others. In 1963, SNCC organized Freedom Vote, a mock election among Southern Black people that was designed to encourage these citizens to register to vote. In 1964, the Council of Federated Organizations, COFO, a coalition of Mississippi chapters of the four aforementioned organizations, coordinated the Freedom Summer Project, which worked to register Black people in Mississippi to vote. The project was powered by local activists and by over 1,000 college student volunteers, most of whom were white, from the northern and western regions of the United States. Now, this is the important part. Voting rights activists faced violent opposition in the South, both from law enforcement and white residents. Many Freedom Summer activists were arrested by local police officers, some were beaten, and 3 young men, James Chaney of Mississippi and Michael Schwerner and Andrew Goodman of New York, were killed in June of 1964 by the Ku Klux Klan. In addition, dozens of homes, businesses, and churches were destroyed. Another violent incident occurred on March 7, 1965, when hundreds of protesters led by John Lewis of SNCC and Reverend Hosea Williams of the SCLC marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge leading out to Selma, Alabama, while marching to Montgomery to demand voting rights and civil rights for African Americans, Black Americans. The marchers were blocked by state troopers and deputized white men who then attacked the marchers with clubs and tear gas. So here's the picture so you can see of Bloody Sunday. So President Lyndon Johnson did sign the Voting Rights Act, and there were many civil rights leaders that were there when that happened. So when we think about sitting out of elections and, trying to believe the lie that voting doesn't matter, and, that because I feel like we've kind of been brainwashed in a way now to think like we're detached from the vote, we're detached from democracy, and I think that's a tactic, that many conservative groups try to use on us to not think that our voice matters. So what I'm saying is, you come from a history of people that have literally been clubbed and, terrorized when trying to stand up in a dignified manner and really in a way that brings all races and all people together from all different places, to be able to give you the right to vote. So that's why I have never sat out of an election, and I really encourage people to learn the history, learn the details, learn the little bitty stories, learn about all those people, the people that lost their lives fighting as heroes to give all of us the right to vote. It's just really important to sit down and think about that. And November, we have a lot of holidays coming up. Veterans Day, Remembrance Day in Canada and the UK on the 11th, Remembrance Sunday on the 14th, and of course Thanksgiving. And everyone thinks a certain type of way about that, and Hanukkah coming up on the 28th. So we have some holidays coming up, but I hope that you enjoyed my poem today. And if you did, please like it. I am going to share it on Facebook, and I'm open to any suggestions on how to make this a better experience for all parties involved. Thanks again for the 40 followers. It makes me feel better when I get the support from the people. So, all right. Have a great week.